Hello everyone and welcome back in a new video. In this video, we are going to discuss about change management and contract amendments. So, in contract management, it's very common for contracts to change over time. These changes might happen because the project's need evolve, unexpected issues arise, or performance needs improvement. So, to manage these changes effectively, organizations follow a structured change management process. This process makes sure that every change to the contract is properly handled, clearly documented, and agreed upon by everyone involved. So, let's explore this step by step. So, first we have identifying the need for contract changes. Before making any changes to our contract, the first step is to understand when and why a change is needed. Contracts are usually written at the start of a project, but projects can rarely go exactly as planned. Many factors during project execution can create the need for modifications. So let's look at the some of the most common reasons. Okay, so one major reason for contract changes is project scope adjustment. Sometimes the original scope does not match the project's evolving needs. For example, the client may ask to add new features or remove certain parts of the project. So, since the project scope directly affects cost, schedule, and deliverables, any such adjustment must be reflected in the contract to ensure clarity and fairness for all parties. Another situation that can lead to changes in regulatory or legally updates during the project, new laws, safety standards, or environmental regulations may come into effect. So, these updates require the contract to be modified to stay compliant. If such updates are ignored, the project could face legal issues, penalties, or unnecessary delays. Therefore, it's important to regularly review the legal framework that applies to your project. Okay. Next, we have budgetary constraints. It also required contract adjustment. Sometimes the project's funding is reduced or material and labor cost increase unexpectedly. In such cases, the contract may need to be revised to adjust payment terms, milestones, or deliverables so that the project remains financially feasible. Without these adjustments, financial pressure can lead to disputes or even project failure. Another common reason is delays or unforeseen circumstances. Unexpected events such as supply chain disruption, labor shortage, equipment failures, or extreme weather conditions can affect timelines and resource uh, availability. So, to manage such challenges, the contract may need modification, for example, to extend deadlines, adjust costs, or update responsibilities. Lastly, performance or quality issues. Performance or quality issues may also lead to contract changes. If a contractor or supplier is not meeting performance standards or delivering poor quality work, so certain contract terms may need to be revised. This could include adding performance penalties, updating monitoring requirements, or revising deliverable timelines. So these changes helps protect the product's quality and maintain accountability. So why early identification is important? Identification The need for contract changes early is critical for successful project management. Early detection allows the team to manage the impact of changes before they into bigger problems. It helps to reduce risk, control cost, and maintain a positive working relationship between all parties involved. Okay. If changes are delayed or ignored, small issues can grow into serious challenges such as project delays, cost overrun, or even legal disputes. Therefore, project managers should always monitor the project closely, communicate regularly with the stakeholders, and uh, raise any potential need for change as soon as it is identified. So, acting early ensures smoother product delivery and you can say protect all parties from the unnecessary risk. Okay, I hope this is clear. So next, let's discuss about managing change request and impact assessments. Okay, once you identify that a contract change is needed, the next step is to manage the change request process carefully. This process ensures that all changes are documented, reviewed, and approved in a structured and transparent way. So, managing changes, uh, you can say managing change request properly helps to avoid confusion, disputes, and unplanned impacts on cost, time, and performance. So, the first step in this process is to submit a formal change request. A change request is a written document that clearly describes the modification being proposed. It explains what needs to be changed, why the change is necessary, and who is requesting it. So, this request can be initiated internally by your organization or externally by a contractor, supplier, or client. The purpose is to have a formal record of the proposed change so it can be tracked and evaluated properly. After submitting the change request, the next step is to assess the impact of the proposed change. So, every change, no matter how small, can affect different aspects of the project. Therefore, before approving any change, it is important to analyze its potential impact on the on key areas. Okay, so first look at the cost impact. Uh, will this change increase or decrease the project cost, and by how much? It is essential to calculate the financial applications accurately. Next, consider the schedule impact. Does the change affect the project timeline? Will it extend the completion date or spend up delivery? Proper schedule analysis helps to ensure that deadlines remains realistic. So you should also evaluate the resource requirements. Does the change mean you will need more manpower, material, or equipment? Or can some resources be reduced or reallocated? So this helps in efficient planning and cost control. Okay. Then review the legal and compliance aspects. So check whether the proposed change aligns with the contract terms, company policies, and relevant laws or regulations. Making a change that violates our legal requirements can lead to serious consequences later. Okay, so lastly, assess how the change affects risk and performance obligation. Or will it increase project risk or impact the unexpected quality, safety, or performance standards? Understanding this ensures that the project's objectives are still met even after the change. So, once the impact has been evaluated, the next step is to consult key stakeholders. This includes project managers, finance teams, legal advisors, clients, and any other relevant department. Their input is valuable because each group can identify potential problems or improvements related to their area of expertise. Engaging stakeholders early ensures that the change is fully understood and accepted by everyone involved. Okay. Finally, prepare a impact assessment report. So this report summarizes all the findings from your analysis, including the cost, schedule, resources, risks, and compliance applications. It provides decision makers with a clear understanding of how the proposed change will affect the project. Based on this report, management or the client can decide whether to approve, reject, or modify the change request. So I hope this is clear. So now next, let's discuss about negotiating and documenting contract amendments. So once the impact assessment shows that the proposed change is reasonable and beneficial, the next stage is to negotiate and document the contract amendment. This phase ensures that all parties clearly understand that the new terms and that the agreement remains legally valid and enforceable. Okay. So the first step is to negotiate the terms of the change. During this stage, the client, contractor, and other involved parties discuss and agree on all details related to the modifications. So this may include price adjustment, new deadlines, revised deliverables, or any other changes to the original applications. The goal of negotiation is to reach a fair and balanced agreement where both parties feel satisfied and their interests are protected. So, effective negotiation also helps to prevent misunderstandings and potential disputes later in the project. After reaching an agreement, the next important step is to document the amendment properly. Verbal agreement are not enough. Every change must be written down and signed by all relevant parties. The most common way to document these updates is through a formal variation order or a contract amendment form. The document should clearly reference the original contract and specify exactly which clauses or sections are being modified. So it should also include the new terms, conditions, or responsibilities that both sides have agreed to. Okay, so proper documentation ensures transparency and provides an official record that can be referred to in case of future disagreements. The amendment should always be signed and dated by all authorized representatives of the parties involved. So, without formal signatures, the amendments may not be legally enforceable. So, before finalizing the document, it's important to conduct a legal review. The organization's legal team should carefully examine the amendment to ensure it complies with all laws, regulation, and contractual requirements. So, a legal review also helps to confirm that the changes do not accidentally create a new risk or weaken the organization's position in the contract. Okay. Finally, always make sure there is a mutual agreement between all parties. So, contract amendment is only valid if both sides, they agree to the revised terms. Once everyone is in full agreement and the document is properly signed, the amendment becomes an official part of the contract and must be followed just like the original terms. Okay. So now let's discuss about managing variations and scope changes. So in many projects, especially in industries such as construction, engineering, and information technology, uh, changes to the project scope, commonly called variations, and these are very common. So these changes can involve adding new work, removing certain tasks, or modifying existing deliverables. While some changes are unavoidable, managing them properly is essential to maintain control over cost, time, and quality. Okay. To begin with, it's very important to maintain a variation log. This is a formal record that you can say, uh, keep track of all requested, uh, reviewed, and approved changes. So each variation should include details such as the date of request, the person or department who raised it, and the reason for the change, and the impact assessment summary, and also the current approval status. So a well-maintained log helps project managers monitor progress, maintain transparency, and provide a clear history of all changes made during the project. Okay. So next, make sure that your contract includes a clear procedure for managing scope changes. Okay. So the original contract should define exactly who has the authority to request a change, who is responsible for reviewing it, and who has the final approval power. So it should also describe the steps to follow once a change is approved. For example, how to update the schedule, cost, and documentation. When these procedures are defined in advance, it helps to prevent confusion and ensures that all parties handle variations consistently and fairly. So, another key step is to update the baseline schedule and budget regularly. Once a variation is approved, it must be reflected in the project's baseline plan, meaning the original budget timeline and reduce allocation should be revised to match the new situation. So this keeps your project tracking accurate and makes sure that future performance reports show the real progress, not outdated information. Okay. So effective communication is also critical when managing scope changes. Always communicate change clearly to everyone affected, including project team members, suppliers, contractors, and clients. So everyone should understand what exactly has changed, why the change was made, and how it impacts their work or responsibilities. Clear and timely communication prevents misunderstandings, errors, and delays in implementation. Failing to control scope change can result in a problem known as a scope creep. So, this happens when new tasks or requirements are added without proper evaluation or approval. Scope creep can seriously damage a project by causing budget overruns, missed deadlines, and dispute between stakeholders. That's why having a disciplined variation management process is essential for successful product delivery. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So next, let's take an overview for a real life example. Okay, to understand these things easily. Okay, So imagine a construction contractor is working on a large building project. During execution, the team discovers that the soil conditions are much worse than expected. So the ground is softer and less stable, which means the contractor needs to do additional excavation and enforcement to ensure safety. So this extra work will take more time and cost more money than originally planned. Okay. So to handle this situation properly, the contractor submits a formal change request. So the request clearly explains the reason for the change. In this case, the unexpected soil conditions and includes details of the extra work required, the additional cost involved, and the need for a 2 week extension to project schedule. Okay. So the project manager uh, receives the change request and conduct a detailed impact assessment. So this involves analyzing how the proposed change will affect the project's budget, schedule, resources, and risk. The project manager then discuss the findings with the key stakeholders, including the client, finance team, and legal advisors, to make sure all perspectives are considered before making a decision. Okay. After reviewing the impact and conducting necessary discussions, the client and contractor negotiate the final terms. They reach an agreement on the added cost and the time extension, ensuring that both sides are satisfied with the revised arrangement. So once the agreement is finalized, a formal contract amendment, often called a variation order, is prepared. This document clearly outlines the new term, refers to the original contract, and specifies the exact changes made. So both parties sign the amendment and it is officially added to the project's documentation system. So the change is also recorded in the variation log for future reference. So this careful and structured process keeps everything transparent and accountable. It ensures that every change is documented, approved, and communicated properly. So most importantly, it protects both the client and contractor from future misunderstandings, disagreements, or legal disputes. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So now let's summarize. So effective change management in contact is crucial because projects rarely go exactly as planned. Scope adjustment, unforeseen issues, or regulatory updates often require modifications to the original agreement. So a clear and structured approach helps to keep the project on track and avoids disputes. So always identify the need for change early so you can manage its impact before it affects cost, time, or quality. So follow formal procedures, submit a change request, assess its impact, negotiate terms, and document the amendment properly. Okay. So keep accurate records and communicate clearly with all stakeholders to maintain transparency and control. Finally, learning from real life examples helps you to understand how proper change management ensures fairness and accountability and successful product outcomes. Okay, so I hope everything is clear related to the change management and contract amendments. So thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next video.